Hey y'all, it's your girl Gemini Jazz with House of Chiron, and we are back with another episode of Galactic Gossip. So, welcome in and welcome back. If you are returning to my channel, I hope that last month, February, treated you well. I hope that March is off to a great start for you. And if you are new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you will not miss a beat on any of the updates and any of the wonderful information that I will happen to share throughout the month so you won't miss it. Okay. So, with that said, for those who are new, if you are, I am Jasmine, also known as Gemini Jazz. I am the owner of House of Chiron, Astrology, Reiki, and Mental Wellness. I am a Reiki master. I am also a current student to obtain my master in social work. So, hopefully, soon I will be your therapist, right? So, with that being said, I've done my formal introductions. Let's just get on with these quick announcements, okay? So this month, March, like I mentioned in the last video, I had wrapped up and closed out the Celestial City membership, and I am opening up our events, our new moon and full moon ceremonies. So for our first open public, I guess you can say, full moon ceremony, we are going to have our Virgo full moon Reiki release. So the full moons are wonderful time for releasing and bringing in what is supposed to be for you, reaping the harvest. So why not do that with the energy of Reiki? So on March the 7th at 6 p.m. Central Time, we are all going to meet virtually, and we're going to have a collective Reiki session. So you can sign yourself up, you can sign your children up, your partner, your spouse, your best friend, your mom, your aunt, whomever, but just make sure that we have consent. So when you sign up on the website, make sure that at the purchasing, you input that information, the name and all of that, as well as you acknowledge and give consent, because I will not and cannot perform Reiki on anyone who has not consented to do so. All right. And that is important. All right. So now, also this month, I have so far 2.5 more events, right? So on top of the full moon Reiki release, we have on the 19th, I have a trauma conscious yoga event. So I don't know if you remember those trauma conscious yoga full moon healing circles that I used to do back in 2021 with my good friend Natita DeSalle. So we are back, and this time we're going to be doing a new moon ritual, right? So it's going to be a new moon healing circle for the astrological new year, for the spring equinox. Okay. So starting off the new astrological year with some yoga, some trauma conscious yoga at that. So it's going to be yoga for all levels. So you don't have to know yoga in order to attend. It's going to be a virtual event. And I'm going to be talking about the astrological forecast for, Pluto being in Aquarius, and what the new new astrological year stands for, why the spring equinox are important. I'll be talking about the astrology, and Natita will be talking about, the somatics of things, right? She is a somatic therapist, so she'll be talking about therapy and healing trauma, and also her trauma conscious yoga method that she has created. Okay. So you don't want to miss that one. That one is going to be during the daytime on Sunday, March the 19th. So I believe it starts at 12 o'clock Central Time, but all the information is going to be in my description box below, as well as on my website. So you can purchase those tickets now. Also, we have the House of Chiron's new moon intention ceremony. So that's going to be on March the 21st. I hope I didn't say November, because I almost said November. I saw November in my head, but whatever. Anywho, March the 21st, we have the new moon intention ceremony. So new moons are a time to set new intentions. It's about setting the goals and the vision for the next 6 months to a year ahead. And in this case, we have a new moon that's happening in the sign of Aries during Aries season. It's also the start of the new astrological year and the spring equinox. So with that being said, we're going to be harnessing all of those energies in order to pave the way for the year ahead, right? Definitely for at least the next 6 months ahead. And so it's important to know exactly where this energy is happening in your chart, what's going on with all the astrology and the placements and the aspects and things, so you'll know more so about your timing and what your cycle is at this time, right? So, you know, it's important to see the overall vision and the bigger picture of things, but also there's the ability to use astrology to see what the steps are to obtain that thing is highly important. It's also very beneficial. So that's what we will do at the new moon ceremony to set our intentions together collectively. It will also be a virtual event. I will give you astrological insight. I will be letting everyone know where the energy is happening for them in their chart. So those are on sale. Those that registration information is on sale. You can find that in the description box below also. And then along with that registration, you will receive a new document that I've created. Okay, so I've created a House of Chiron self-discovery worksheet. So it will help you to learn the very basics and understand, like off the drop of a hat, the things about your natal chart. So you'll be able to have like a little quick practice to practice your natal wheel, to know all of your placements, to know what sign is where, excuse me, and what house, and what planet is where and what house, and so on and so forth. And so that automatically comes with the purchase of that new moon event. Okay. Also, that is going to be for sale on my website as of tomorrow. So you can purchase it from the website if you want that document. But if you purchase the new moon ceremony, it comes along with that. Okay. Now, I think that's all the yeah. So basically I have one more event, but it's not solid, so I won't speak on it. And then we have some other things coming up, but I'll speak on that when they get solid as well. So it's going to be a busy time. I am doing a lot of revamping and revising and just changing and implementing these changes for House of Chiron, to where things are at ease for not just me, but for also you all. And yeah, so I hope that, everyone is coming for the ride for all the changes, because it's going to be pretty interesting and pretty cool, right? So now let's get into this astrology. So this is going to be a quick overview. So just a little heads up. I will be putting out the Saturn in Pisces video this week. In the second part of March, you will get a Pluto and Aquarius video as well. So I'm not going to cover too much of the Saturn in Pisces energy, although that does happen this week. I'm going to talk about that in deeper detail in that video. So just keep watching and stay tuned for that. And I'll make a notification when that time comes, but it will be this week. All right. So with that being said, Venus is conjunct Jupiter the day that March begins, right? And it's at 12 degrees in Aries. So this happens, March the 1st. And so it's in the evening of the day. So you might be feeling it on the 1st, just a little bit, but then you also kind of feel it more so on the 2nd of March, because it happens so late in the evening. We're going to sleep through most of it here in North America. But you'll feel it some on the 2nd, March the 2nd. So it's known as the luckiest day of the year. And, it's because the two benefics, they come together. They come in a conjunction. And this happens once every year. Okay. So this time it's happening in the sign of Aries. And first, we got to take into account, what does Venus represent? Love, money, values, our possessions, relationships. And Jupiter represents abundance, expansion, broader point of views and perspectives. And so we may find like new ways to increase income or to expand our wealth. New relationships could be forming under this influence, or an expansion of an existing one. You may also find value in like new topics or things being presented with a new perspective, and this helps expand your mind or your consciousness. You also could be learning something from a mentor, and that helps you, with making more money or a better relationship choice, for example. So also, Jupiter is all about our beliefs as well. So Jupiter could be coming into this conjunction with Venus, so you can have a deeper sense of value about your belief system as well, and just really honoring that and valuing that part of yourself. Okay. So moving forward, Mercury is entering into Pisces, and this happens on March the 2nd. and Mercury will remain in the sign of Pisces until March 18th. So we have about 3 weeks of Mercury being in Pisces. And so Mercury rules our mindsets, our thought process, all means of communication, transportation, small business, short distance travel, like road trips, for example. And so Mercury is going to make a couple of aspects while it's in the sign of Pisces. Okay. So first and foremost, Mercury in Pisces, it helps us be more creative and tap into that side of ourselves, as well as our spirituality and receiving divine messages. But also it can cloud our point of view. It can make things not as clear, right? Sorry, I had to get me something to drink. It happens every time. So with that being said, with Mercury having that rulership and Pisces being about creativity and spirituality and unconditional love and illusions also, it could, kind of cloud our view, right? Cloud our vision where we're not seeing things clearly. Now, Mercury is also going to be sextile in Uranus. And so this might bring in some unexpected and maybe some exciting news. And that happens later on in the month. And then it's going to make a conjunction to Neptune. And so this might amplify our spiritual pursuits and creativity, but also it might amplify like that deceptive energy, or being, having the wool pulled over our eyes, or, being in this fog of illusion, not really seeing things very clearly. But it's a wonderful time to start new creative projects. Also, it's a wonderful time for us to, really explore our spirituality as well during that time, learn something new. Then it's going to make a square to Mars, right? So Mercury square Mars, it may like rush our thinking, and, we might feel like we need to be hasty in our initiatives. But the thing is that, Mercury's in Pisces. So Pisces is not one to rush into anything. It takes its time. It likes to flow. And anything that goes against the natural flow is just not going to basically come into fruition at that time. It's going to be like a constant fight to manifest. Now, there may even be some aggression going on, like some passive aggressive kind of energy, communication and talks and conversations that come up on this day. This happens towards the end of this transit. But overall, even though Mars is going to be squaring Mercury, it's still going to, Mars is in Gemini. And so it's about, the mental space of things and mental capacities and ideas and movement and whatnot. So you might want to be careful when you are on the road during that time also, because, you might be prone to see, car accidents happen and whatnot. So this might be that indication that this is going on. Even accidents happening on the water. So I wouldn't, necessarily, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but just saying it's just highly likely, or more chance for accidents on the road, accidents in the water. Pisces is water, Gemini, Mars is in Gemini. And so accidents on the road, we've been seeing a lot of that anyway, since Mars has been in Gemini. So it's just going to be amplifying that energy. Also, so Mercury is going to also sextile Pluto. Okay. So when Mercury sextile Pluto is adding a bit of depth and intensity to our conversations and our thought process. So we may find it to be a great time to dive deep into our psyche when this transit happens. Also, speaking to a therapist, speaking to someone who has profound insight, or, that can help transform our minds and how we think about things, or give us a different perspective, or to have, or encourage us to look deeper, right? There may also be like conversations that transform different things or different parts of ourselves. And there may be really intense conversations going on at this time, or intense information that comes at you during this time. Now, all of this occurs before Mercury moves into Aries on the 18th and at the end of the month, right? So that's where, the later part of the month. So Mercury, while in Pisces, is going to help us become more intuitive, more creative, and more spiritual, but also helping us to remember that it's important to pay attention to the details, not always wearing rose-colored lenses. And, because that's what we tend to do with this transit. We tend to kind of like glaze over things and just kind of see it from this idealistic point of view instead of as in reality and what it is. Okay. So now moving forward, we have the full moon at 16 degrees Virgo. This happens March 7th at 6:40 early in the morning Central Time. So this happens in the degree of Cancer. So 16 degrees is a degree of Cancer. So it's being rooted in practicality within our everyday endeavors, within our home and families, within, what brings us a sense of security and safety, even maybe within our own real estate. And full moons are a time for us to recognize what has culminated, what has come to an ending. It may be a wonderful time of payout. Maybe you've been putting in work into something and now you're going to be receiving the fruits of that labor that you've been doing. And with it being in Virgo, Virgo is about our daily tasks. It's about our health, our routines, our rituals, the work that we do, the service-driven work, the people we work with, our pets, that kind of thing. And so Virgo rules any service-driven work that we do, including like actual jobs, employees, and other daily activities. Maybe you have been doing really well on working out or picking up a new diet or a new lifestyle change. And so now you're seeing the benefits of that. And you may get some recognition, or you may, get some type of gift from that, right? Receiving the fruits of your labor, harvesting. And so Virgo, even like, since I said it rules like pets and, our physical health and our routines, it's just kind of keep that in mind that it can manifest within that area as well. Now, the Pisces sun is shining its light on this Virgo moon, right? So it's shining its light on all those hidden things that's in Virgo. So some things may come to light during this time about our health, about our daily activities and our habits and our scheduling and what we need to do in order to be more effective and more practical, more grounded, more disciplined, right? And so these things could be coming to the surface, right? Since that Pisces sun is being shown that, shining its light, and Pisces is about dissolving, right? So since it's all about dissolving and healing, so there may be some things that need our attention in order to let it go before the new astrological year, right? So there may be a time for releasing that happens, right? A release is definitely due. I will definitely say that, especially now. So we may find out that, like, it's a time to clear out clutter in our homes during this time. We may even clear out our offices or our work areas, clean out your car, that kind of thing. Because, Virgo is Mercury ruled. So basically spring cleaning, that's the idea. We could also be releasing karmic ties as well, especially with Saturn getting ready to move into Pisces right after this full moon peaks. So keep that in mind. Saturn is Lord of karma. And then there's going to be a trine to this full moon. So the trine from the moon to Uranus may bring some radical release that ultimately liberates us, give us some sense of freedom. It helps push us into that direction that we've been really trying to go into, right? Uranus is still in Taurus, so it's like from earth sign to earth sign, right? So trines are, from element to element, basically. So that 90-degree energy, not 90, that's a square. You get what I'm saying? Trines 120, 80. I don't know. I just lost my numbers. Either way, that trine energy is like making it a beneficial thing, and it's like something that's destined. It's not like a sextile, right? So sextile is 45, right? 45 degree. So when you have that sextile energy, it's like, okay, you have to put in the work in order to see this. Now, in this case, it's a trine to Uranus, so it's like a destined thing to happen. It's also, that energy is like how I like to look at it is a trine is like that friend that's going to agree with you no matter what. Too much of that is not necessarily good either. So just kind of keep that in mind. But this trine to Uranus is going to definitely bring some positive, transformative changes that we've been waiting on and working towards, right? Because the full moon is also about a culmination from some type of seed that we've planted. And in this case, it's a seed from the Virgo season, right? When we had the Virgo new moon. So keep that in mind. Now, also, Uranus can bring some unexpected changes and some pivots, but this may also, like I said, help us tap into the freedom that we seek, right? Also, there's going to be a very loose square to Mars, right? So Mars is still in Gemini, and it's a loose square, so it may add some intensity to the energy, where we feel like there's a sense of urgency or a need to just like get on with things or just bust free. But since it's a very loose square, you know, we may or may not even really feel that, but it's still present and it's still very relevant for the current energy. All right, so now moving forward, we have Saturn entering into Pisces. And so with Saturn moving into Pisces, this happens also March 7th. Saturn is going to be in the sign of Pisces for the next 2.5 years until February 14th of 2026. So Saturn entered into Aquarius back in March of 2020, right at the peak of the pandemic as it, you know, began to happen here in North America. So I remember, you know, being out when we had, you know, got that notification that the city was being shut down. We're on curfew and whatnot, and we need to be inside the house. That happened like literally right at the same time that Saturn moved into Aquarius, right? Social distancing from our friendships and our community and whatnot. So the restrictions. And so with that, said and done, you know, Saturn is the Lord of karma. So it's leaving this free spirited Aquarius energy and entering into the spiritual Pisces energy for the next 2.5 years. And so over the last 2.5 years, just think about the things that we've been having to kind of come accustomed to. What have we been building? What have we been restructuring? All those different things. And so when Saturn entered into Aquarius March of 2020, it stationed retrograde and it entered into Aquarius again December of 2020, where it has been since. And so, like I said, think back till December. What has happened? What restrictions? What things have you been building? What responsibilities have you taken on? What boundaries have you been implementing or have been implemented, right? So now that it's moving into Pisces until, you know, 2026, it's trying to bring out new lessons that will increase our greatest potential. And with it being in Pisces, it has a lot to do with our spirituality. It has a lot to do with healing, has a lot to do with compassion, unconditional love, our creativity, all of those things. So it does, you know, it's normal karmic checks and balances whenever it enters into a new sign. And so that's what Saturn is doing. And everyone that has Saturn in Pisces, y'all are gearing up to have your Saturn return at this time. So in that video, I will talk about the people who are having their Saturn return in Pisces and what to expect. I go into detail about the history of Saturn being in Pisces and what we've experienced previously to compare to what's happening now or what will be happening. I just go into further detail about that. But overall, Saturn moves into a new sign and it just comes through and it does its checks and balances to make sure that the karma is dished out, right? The karmic checks and balances are dished out as they should be. So have you been disciplined? Have you been steadfast in your pursuits, right? Saturn is going to help us ground those Piscean rule things, right? Ground them, you know, bring them into reality, that spirituality, creativity, compassion, our dream state, our subconsciousness, our beliefs, you know, bringing that into reality, right? Because Saturn likes to work with things that can be materialized, that are material, that's in reality, that are tangible. And so that's another thing, another aspect that is adding to. So we also may see some restrictions or some rules or some laws because Saturn rules government and laws and restrictions and order and all that kind of stuff. So we may see some of that trying to be placed on spirituality, on things that are typically free spirited, right? So that is something that we may see also. Now, we may see the spiritual community or our own beliefs go under major change or reconstruction because when Saturn enters into a new sign, that's also something that it does. It does a reconstruction of it. So there also may be a sense of deconstruction within spiritual dynamics, be it religion or otherwise, right? So there's also something to consider that's to come. But keep watch because I go into further detail on all these talking points here. And it's going to be in that Saturn and Pisces video that's coming out this week. Okay. So that is all that I have for this 2-week forecast. Now I'm going to get into the energy for all 12 signs. Okay. So starting off, I would first like to say that make sure that you are watching for your sun, moon, and your rising sign. Okay. So for your, you know, for your rising, that is the first and foremost, that is the most accurate reading, your ascendant and or rising sign is the same thing. So make sure that you're watching for that first and foremost. It's most accurate for you. Your sun is going to be secondary. That's your focus. That's your goals. That's your your career. It could also talk about that, about your career and things of that nature. And then your moon sign is going to be last, but definitely not least. That talks about your home and family, your foundation, your actual living situations. It's also subjective because it's more so about your internal world. It could be what you're feeling at this time. Okay. So now let's get into the readings for all 12 signs. We're going to be covering the energy about the full moon because in that Saturn and Pisces video, I talk about that for all 12 signs, for the Saturn energy. So with that being said, this is going to cover the full moon energy for this 2-week forecast. All right. So Aries, sun, moon, and rising. This full moon in Virgo is happening in your 6th house. So you could be receiving a harvest from the work that you've been doing, like the actual work that you've been doing, your service-driven work, your daily routines, maybe even seeing some type of results for a new health or a new diet or a new lifestyle that you have been embarking on. Okay, so you could be witnessing that. Also, maybe you are working with someone, right? Could be a Virgo. You could be working with someone or someone who has really strong Virgo energy, and it's helping you to get more grounded, more stability, feel more secure, whether it be in your home, within yourself, within your family, or just in general within your foundation, whatever your foundation that you're trying to build, right? With it being in your 6th house, the moon is still the ruler of your 4th house, which is Cancer. So it has a lot to do with that foundational energy, also feminine energy, and being able to be more receptive. So, could be receiving some benefits for the work that you've been putting in that's more receptive, at nature as well. Okay, so for Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, this full moon is happening in your 5th house. So this has a lot to do with your creativity, your creative self-expression, maybe a creative project, your children. It can have a lot to do with, joy and fun, your hobbies, maybe even romance, right? So you could be receiving some type of benefit or the harvest or a culmination, something is being released in regards to those 5th house energies I just mentioned. And it also has a lot to do with your immediate environment, maybe your vehicle, maybe like a quick trip that you're planning to take. Maybe you're planning to take a quick trip with your children. It's going to be, a very beneficial one. There also could be that you're launching like a creative project for your small business or working with someone that has a creative project or, that you're in connection with for like a small business, and whether it's yours or someone else's. It could also indicate that you're going to be, doing more work that is going to highlight, or you're receiving benefits from the work that you've been doing that's highlighting your creative self-expression also, right? Maybe launching something new. That is also highly possible, okay? And it could be lucrative. It could be something that, that's very practical, it's very grounded, right? Because it's in Virgo, so keep that in mind. All right. So for Gemini, sun, moon, and rising, this full moon is happening in your 4th house. And so this is the house of your home, family, your traditions, your roots, your lineage, your actual real estate. If you are a home owner, where you live, this is about feminine energy. So if you are a mother, maybe your own mother. And so with this, culmination happening, this is like you receiving some type of benefit or some type of payout or some type of, you reaping the harvest for your foundation, the work that you've been putting in to build your sense of security, right? And it could be financial security. So you could be closing on a home, receiving a loan, or you could be selling a home, right? Because, the moon rules your 2nd house of your income. So you could also be receiving a payout for something that you've been previously working towards, right? Especially within the home and family dynamic also, okay? All right, so moving forward to Cancer, sun, moon, and rising, we have this full moon happening in your 3rd house, right? So this is the house of small business, your immediate environment, siblings, your vehicles. This has a lot to do with small business, education. So maybe you are receiving some type of benefit from like a skill or a trade that you've been embarking on, or you've been learning, or maybe you're going to be taking a quick trip, or going on a trip for your siblings, or something you are initiating, maybe some type of communication or planning something, starting a business. That could be something as well. You've been working on it behind the scenes and now you're launching it. And, because the moon is also the ruler of you, right? It rules your chart. So it's something that you are initiating and it's directly affecting you. All right. So this could be a time where you are buying a new car, going on a trip, starting a business and launching it, putting it out there to the public, those types of things. Also, maybe going back to school, or you are wrapping up a certification. Okay. So Leo, sun, moon, and rising. This full moon in Virgo is happening in your second house, right? So this has a lot to do with income, a lot to do with partnerships. So you may be experiencing like a payout or a culmination or reaping the harvest or the benefits of the work that you've been putting in towards making your own income. It could be, creative work. It could be creative projects, spirituality. It could be, things of that nature, something that's in alignment with your soul expression and who it is that you are, right? Because the moon rules your 12th house. So also it's something that you're working on behind the scenes. So money could be coming into you from places that are secret, like maybe not doing, from your job, or you could be working with other people. So you're making more income doing creative projects and doing work behind the scenes, something that is spiritual. And so this may be a payout for the work that you've done, the seeds that you've planted during the Virgo season, where you were looking to find new sources of income. And now you're seeing that the culmination of that is now here. Okay. So moving forward, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. This full moon is your moon, right? So it's happening in your first house, right? Virgo full moon in the first house. So this is a direct reflection of you coming into harvest of yourself, right? So like receiving the benefits of the changes that you've been making to yourself, whether it's your body, how you initiate things, your sense of confidence, how you go about in your actual pursuits. And so you're going to be seeing and receiving the benefits for the seeds that you've planted in making those changes in yourself, right? Achieving your goals, connecting with your friends, networking, all of those things, and receiving that and witnessing the fruits of your labor come directly to you, right? With this Virgo full moon. So there may be a payout, there may be a sense of recognition from a friend or someone in a position of authority, right? That may be something, and it's like you are aligning to achieving your goals. Okay. So Libra, sun, moon, and rising. This full moon is happening in your 12th house. Okay. So this is a culmination about your healing, about your spirituality, maybe even working on something behind the scenes when it comes to your career. So this also could indicate that you're going to be leaving your job. Maybe you found something new, or maybe you just, want to bet on yourself and go start your own business. Or this also could mean that you're going to be receiving a payout and maybe a raise, right? And it's coming from something hidden, hidden forces happening because it's in the 12th house. So it's happening for you behind the scenes, somebody helping you, maybe even in a position of authority, employees and work and things of that nature. And it could have a lot to do with you training or the work that you've been putting in, you staying on a strict schedule and being disciplined and being practical in your approach. With this full moon in your 12th house, it could also be dissolving something or coming to an end of a phase of something. So, wrapping something up and embarking on a new journey. And this could have a lot to do with like your career, your public image, but there's definitely going to be like this change, or you harvesting this social status kind of energy where like your public image is shifting also. So it's like a dissolving of one thing in order to embark on a new thing that's happening at this time. All right. So Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. This full moon in Virgo is happening in your 11th house. Okay. So this is the house of your goals, your hopes and wishes, your material gains, your friendships, your networking circles, large organizations that you are affiliated with. And with this full moon, you may be receiving some type of recognition or reaping the harvest for, remaining disciplined and practical in your pursuits towards achieving your goals. You may even, decide that you're going to go on a long distance journey to go visit a friend or go visit your friends, or you may receive recognition for some education or long distance journey that you're planning or something along those lines. You may receive, recognition from a mentor or someone in a position of authority to recognize you for the work that you've been putting in to achieve your goals. It could come from a friend. Also, the 11th house has a lot to do with your material gain. So this could be you acquiring something that you've been working towards. So this is also high possibilities for you, Scorpio. All right. So For Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising, this full moon in Virgo is happening in your 10th house. This is the house of career and your public image and your responsibility to the world and your social status. And so with the full moon happening in your 10th house, but it rules your 8th house, right? So that's about merging, right? Coming together with something. It's your partner's finances. This is resources. This is karma and debt and taxes, things of that nature. So your social status could be changing because you're getting engaged, right? 8th house is like merging with one another. So your social status could be changing because you're getting married or you're getting engaged, but also this could be that you're getting a payout for the work that you've been doing in your job or your career. And so you could be receiving some type of resource, whether it's like a raise or more benefits from your job. Those are also high possibilities. You could also be receiving, like a government loan or a government grant for the work that you've done previously. So that also may be something that comes along as well. Okay. Now, for Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising, this full moon is happening in your 9th house. So this is the house that is about long distance journey, higher education, mentors, gurus, your beliefs, your vision, and, for life, your life path. Right. So with this full moon culminating, you could be receiving like the harvest for the work that you've been putting in education and school. Okay. So this might be a time where you are fulfilling a commitment, right? So the full moon rules your 7th house. So you could be fulfilling a commitment. So fulfilling a commitment to travel, you could be going on a long distance journey, committed to that, buying tickets or something along those lines. Also, this could be the ending of a like legal situation coming to fruition. And now that's wrapped up. So you're embarking on a new journey as well. All right. So for Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising, this full moon in Virgo is happening in your 8th house. This is the house of merging with one another, right? So this is the house of intimate partnerships, but it's also the house of resources and other people's money, right? So money you get from a job or for doing goods and services for other people and they pay you. This is also the house that rules taxes and debts, inheritance, karma, family karma, things along those lines. So you could be receiving a release of family karma. Maybe you're releasing, letting go of having joint finances with someone, or you could be receiving also money from work that you do, right? It could be service type of work that you do, daily routines and habits, because the moon rules your 6th house. So that could have a lot to do with that as well. Like you're receiving a raise from work, or, maybe you get a new job during this time, right? So last but not least, we have Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. And this full moon is happening in your 7th house of marriage and partnerships and commitments and contracts and legalities and all that good stuff. And so with this full moon culminating in your 7th house, this may be a time where you are coming into harvest of a relationship. You could be getting married. You could be signing a contract, right? Having a new type of commitment. Especially with the moon ruling your 5th house, it has a lot to do with like romance and fun and joy, your creative self-expression. So you could also be, committing to a creative project, right? Signing a contract, doing a partnership. It could be a business partnership also with a creative project. So these are all high possibilities, but also it's an indication that you could be getting engaged or you could be getting married during this time. Okay. So that is all that I have for the first 2 weeks. So this was the energy for the 1st through the 10th March. And I hope that it was beneficial and helpful for you. And I hope that you return and that you also join me for the full moon Reiki release on March the 7th. That info can be found in the description box below, or you can navigate, just go straight to my website at houseofchirontx.org. Okay. And all of the information is there. So yeah, that will be the first event coming up. And then I will talk more about all the other stuff at the next video. So, I'll be promoting it all over. So I hope y'all have a wonderful first 2 weeks of the month, and I will see you all soon.